Dear sisters, on 8th March 2021, the world once again observes Women's Day. The catchy phrase for this year's Women's Day reads, "A challenged world is an alert world." And from challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. On this occasion, I would like to share with you my reflections on Fratelli Tutti from women's perspectives. What is there in this document for women? The first thing that impressed me about the encyclical was its size. It's large, a work of 287 paragraphs in 8 chapters. The central argument is that we are one big family bound together in our common humanity and brothers and sisters to each other. It is for all people, universal, general, and inclusive. The language of the encyclical is compelling, forceful, direct, and at times casual. The radicality of the document consists in the examples it gives and its vocabulary, at times casual, colloquial, and conversational. The biblical inspiration is the parable of the Good Samaritan, illustrated in chapter 2. The story is very vivid, appropriate, expressive, effective, and profound. The reason why Pope Francis has chosen this parable is found in paragraph 86. I quote, "Even today, there are those who appear to feel encouraged or at least permitted by their faith to support varieties of narrow and violent nationalism, xenophobia, and contempt, and even the mistreatment of those who are different." Now, from women's perspective, what is in there for women? Let me state at the beginning that my attempt is not to find fault with the encyclical, to bargain or argue about gender issues. Fratelli Tutti is not an encyclical on gender relations, or church history, or hierarchy or doctrine. It speaks little about women, their contribution or role. It is a document on how to build a society that is inclusive, coherent, embracing all, reconciling, sensitive, and respectful of differences. However, I would like to share with you how some women have read this work. I would like to begin with a comment which appeared on Fratelli Tutti in the tablet of October 17, 2020. In the features column, there was an article called "Silent Witness" by Liz Dodd. She says, I quote, "The encyclical is a powerful reimagining of the human predicament as a shared opportunity for mutual enrichment in which the gifts and needs of the other are respected and honored. Yet, the experience of women are neglected, their voices unheard." She says, of the 292 sources cited across 288 footnotes in Fratelli Tutti, none are women. Every paragraph has at least one footnote. You do not hear from female voices at all in this encyclical, whether it is discussing poverty, peace, ecology, migration, development, death penalty, reconciliation, or justice. No women are cited. The only time a woman is mentioned by name is in the closing lines in paragraph 278, and that is about Mary, the usual way of closing encyclicals. Pope Francis lists a number of persons who inspired him, St. Francis of Assisi, and non-Catholics like Martin Luther, Bishop Desmond Tutu, and Mahatma Gandhi. He mentions specifically St. Charles de Foucauld and lists numerous bishops' conferences. How come not a single woman or writer or thinker is cited as source of inspiration? I find it both strange and sad. We know that several women serve as director or president of some very important organizations and hold lead positions in institutions for peace and justice, poverty eradication, development. The director of CARFORD is a woman. The co-president of Pax Christi, or the president of St. Vincent de Paul Society in Australia. We have also numerous women working at the grassroots for the empowerment of our society. This puts a question back to us as well. Are we aware of women writers, thinkers, activists and contributors, and are we inspired by them? There are so many women who do commendable job at various fields. Now we need to understand that in encyclicals, popes usually do not quote a number of writers. They usually refer to the Bible and previous encyclicals of their own or of their predecessors. But the fact that women who constitute half the human race do not feature as contributor or inspirer is a lacuna. Liz Dodd asks, why was not one woman allowed to speak in this letter? Giving equal weight to the competent opinion, whether coming from man or woman, is essential if we are to communicate a message that is believable and attractive. Now, having pointed out what is missing, let me now say what is present in there. You may note that brothers and sisters is how the Pope addresses the readers throughout the document. The content shows openness and inclusivity. This encyclical is a milestone change in that it uses an inclusive language in the pages. This is in sharp contrast to the title Fratelli Tutti, which is a direct quote from St. Francis of Assisi addressing his brothers. If we compare this work with earlier church documents, there is a record change in the language. The document does not miss to say her, sister, women, she. Some paragraphs even begin with children, women, and men. Earlier encyclicals will impress upon a casual reader as writings addressed exclusively to bishops and priests. In general, mission was a matter that pertained to men. The prototype of a true missionary remained clearly male and clerical. Encyclicals used a language that was exclusivist: man, men, he, brothers, brethren, venerable brethren, sons, beloved sons, valiant sons, and so on. So, Fratelli Tutti has tried in its content to compensate for the title, which has been offensive for many women. The language is inclusive and respectful of women. Second, all encyclicals in general and mission encyclicals in particular have applauded the role and dignity of women. There is a progressive development. I cite a few of them here. In his encyclical Maximum Illud 1919, Pope Benedict XV applauds the contribution of women and asks men missionaries to invite sisters to their missions and support them. Pope Pius XII in Acta Apostolica Sedis 1945 called upon women saying, "The public needs you," and placed them under strict obligation not to remain aloof. Same Pope in Evangelii Preconis in 1951 called women fairest flowers of missionary endeavor. And in Fidei Donum of 1957, he exhorts all to show zeal in supporting women's mission. Pope Paul VI in Octogesima Adveniens 1971 says, "The participation and contribution of women are indispensable and substantially positive." In Mulieris Dignitatum, which is about the dignity of women, Pope John Paul II in 1988 says, "She is another eye in the larger common humanity." In Letter to Women 1995 of Pope John Paul II, he extols the role and contribution of women. Pope Benedict XVI says, "Without the generous contribution of many women, the Church's history would have been very different." Now, I would like to pick up a few lines from Fratelli Tutti that specifically mentions women, sometimes directly and sometimes implied by inference. God has created all human beings equal in rights, duties, and dignity. That is found in paragraph 5. Paragraph 23 says, "We say one thing with words, but our decisions and reality tell another story." That seems to indicate the truth. No one will ever openly deny that they are all human beings equal in dignity. Yet in practice, by our decisions and the way we treat them, we can show that we consider them less worthy, less important, less human. That is in paragraph 39. This is partly true also of gender relations in the church, although the Pope was referring to migrants and refugees. In the context of the right to private property, the Pope says, as it is unacceptable that some have fewer rights by virtue of being women. You can find that in paragraph 121. If the conviction that all human beings are brothers and sisters is not to remain an abstract idea, but to find concrete embodiment, then numerous related issues emerge, forcing us to see things in a new light and to develop new responses. Paragraph 128. We need to ensure that our institutions are truly effective in the struggle against all these scourges: oppression, exploitation, corruption, trafficking, sexual and labor abuses. 188. Beyond fine speeches and good intentions we need to go. That's what he says in 189. Sooner or later, ignoring the existence and rights of others will erupt in some form of violence, often when we least expect. Truth means recognizing the pain of women who are victims of violence and abuse. Paragraph 227. It is wrong when the only voices to be heard in public debates are those of the powerful and experts. Dear friends, I would like to close by asking anew the question International Women's Day 2021 puts before us. How will you help forge a gender equal world? And the answer is celebrate women's achievement, raise awareness against bias, take action for equality. Happy Women's Day.